Welcome to the Toffees Tactics Show. I am here to talk about Everton's victory over Southampton and a little bit about the Bournemouth game at the weekend. So last week, before the Southampton game, we talked about the Wolves match and how Everton had to rejig their formation with the loss of Jagielka. So we went into this Southampton game. Obviously, Jagielka not in. Mason Holgate came in. I was a little bit surprised with that. I thought that Zuma would start, but, delighted for Mason to get in. We put in an excellent performance. So what we saw last week, we saw more of what we've seen against Wolves. We saw high pressing from Everton. We saw, which I thought was really interesting, was Gylfi playing almost as a centre-forward when we were out of possession. So we had Gentosin pressing on one side, Gylfi on the other, and then Richarlison and Walcott dropping in as well. And we were forcing Southampton back and making sure that they were under pressure every time they had the ball. And I think that's going to be key to how Marco Silva plays this season. I think for Evertonians, I think it's great to see that because we like to see our teams working hard and doing pressing, basically. I mean, it's the new tackling. And it's good to see we're actually catching up. So, we saw that we put Southampton on the back foot, I felt. I thought we were in control of the game. We scored a free kick, which was absolutely brilliant. I mean, our set pieces at the weekend, particularly in the first half, were excellent. We got Michael Keane in a couple of times with a couple of headers. Keepers made a couple of good saves. But we get the goal with a really well-taken free kick, an absolutely brilliant free kick, let's be honest about it. Really straight off the training ground. So I've got a couple of stills here that we're going to go through that I think shows how much work has been done and the way Everton set up with the free kick and how it was so effective. So I'm just going to pop them on the screen now. So here in the first still, you can see how Everton are lined up. Southampton have got everybody in the box. We've got Baines and Sigurdsson over the ball. And I think people are expecting, Southampton are probably expecting Sigurdsson to whip that in. You can see the way we're marked quite tightly, but Morgan Schneiderlin's just running off his marker there. And then this is where it's key. The ball in this second frame, you see Schneiderlin playing the pass. Look where he's looking. Concentrate on the way he's facing because that's key to everything. He's facing, it's the no-look pass. Southampton aren't really expecting it. And then in this frame, we see that it's taken out basically their whole team. It's got Everton 4 players versus 1. Theo's in on goal and slots it beautifully. If we look from another angle, this is from behind the goal, you see after the ball has been played by Baines, look at Schneiderlin, body shape, he's looking at Garner, the ball's already gone, and Southampton are flat. Theo spinning away from Danny Ings. Absolutely brilliant free kick, brilliantly worked, and it was a joy to see Everton do that. And there's Marco Silva, there's a clip of him, he was delighted, and obviously he was credited with that work on the training ground. And that image there of all the players together warms the Al cockles, doesn't it? It makes it, shows how together they are. This is how we lined up. We lined up, pretty much how we thought, the 4-2-1, the 4-2-3-1 even. With obviously Garner and Schneiderlin in there. And what was key was Schneiderlin just got hold of the game from the very first whistle. And his resurgence has been key for Everton really in this system by Marco Silva. It really has. If you look at his actual stats before he went off after 24 minutes, but he had 100% pass completion in that opening 24 minutes. He was absolutely brilliant. And it's a real pity because he'd done ever so well and was just, I suppose a lot of us have written him off. His attitude last season didn't seem quite right to Evertonians, the Leon thing. I don't think a lot of us, Ped certainly hasn't forgiven for it. But, like I say, he was on the pitch for 24 minutes, 100% pass completion. And I thought that was really, it's showing his importance in terms of what Marco Silva wants him to do. When he went off, it became more difficult after that, obviously. What happened was Southampton exploited the space where Schneiderlin had been. I think Garner is a more natural presser of the ball. I think when he starts in that position and is disciplined, he's excellent at it. But I think what happened at the weekend was we went chasing when Sneijder went off, we lost that little grip. I think it was okay in the first half. Tom Davies come on and got us playing and passing, but there was a big gap in the second half, and I think Mark Hughes had seen that the Everton were pushing further and further forward and leaving the gap. I'm just going to put a frame up now, just a tactical clip up now of the area where what should have happened. So here we go. So you can see Garner's in that shaded area. That's where he needed to drop and stay. Tom Davies would have been pushing up, as you can see, trying to get up. Gylfi further on, making runs and playing balls. And obviously the width comes from Baines and Coleman. What actually happened was Garner creeped up alongside Tom Davies almost, and Danny Ings just dropped off, because obviously Southampton had started in a 4-4-2 with Ings and Charlie Austin. Ings dropped into that area, and then Nathan Redmond went into that area. So they got a lot of joy in that opening first 15, 20 minutes, say, of the second half. There was a lot of joy for them there, and they started putting Everton on the back foot, and that's where our problems came. In this next one, you can see Danny Ings, his job was to try and run around Keane, get into those areas, and actually that's where the goal come from. Lamina plays a long ball, Keane, Ings spins off Keane, Ings keeps it alive, Southampton win a corner, and they obviously score off the corner. The zonal marking thing I will do as we go further down the line, because let's get a little bit more of a survey of how it's doing. You know, I don't think a sample survey of 2 games really helps us, so leave that a few weeks down the line and we'll look at that again. But that area is there. We just needed Tom Davies and Garner to drop for 10. We did do it. After they scored, we kind of got a new lease of life, and Garner dropped 5 yards, or Tom went in there, and we kind of got hold of the game a bit better. You know, but it's just the whole thing with Marco Silva is that he'll be looking at everything. I just want to focus on, I haven't talked about the second goal. I will mention the second goal now because it was brilliant. Seamus Coleman again supplying it with him and Walcott down that side. It's a great little run by Walcott, but a lovely little reverse ball by Seamus. And we saw this 3 or 4 times on Saturday, the reverse pass. Walcott, lovely ball in, and Richarlison coming from left to right to get into the middle of the goal and show a real desire to score. It was a brilliant goal, and I hope that we see more of that. And that's certainly something I'm going to be looking at for this show, those kind of pass combinations and stuff. I just wanted to quickly focus on something that happened in the second half with Mason Holgate. And this is why he might be key for Marco Silva. We see this at Man City with John Stones. Liverpool have used it with Virgil van Dijk, and Everton used it at the weekend. And I think Mason Holgate and Michael Keane are being encouraged to do this, but Holgate in particular. Here's the tactic board on screen now. And as you can see, this was the move in the second half that Theo really should have scored. It was a brilliant move. But Mason steps out with the ball up to the halfway line. And then the solid arrow there is indicating where he passes the ball. Now, I've shaded a few of the players with circles around him because this is how many people he takes out. He takes out 5 players with it's called an impact ball for the hipsters. He takes out 5 players with that pass up to the edge of the box. And we tried that a few times at the weekend. And when it comes off, it comes off. He plays that ball in. Gylfi flicks it to Theo. Theo back. And they're in. We're in round the back then. And obviously that's the one with the reverse pass by Gylfi. And if Theo dinks it, it's 3-1 and game over. But I just thought that was really interesting and really positive to see that kind of thing, because that's, again, the coach. The little differences. Don't forget, this is an Everton team with Richarlison in. Other than that, it's everybody who played last season, and we just look like a totally different outfit. Some stats at the weekend then. Obviously, Southampton, we had 13 shots, they had 15. We had 7 on target, they had 4. 58-42 in the possession. Completed passes, Everton 313, Southampton 185. 2 corners to 5. 22 tackles, that following up from 29 tackles at Wolves the week before. So shows how much we're getting around the pitch. Southampton had 19 tackles. Everton created 12 chances, Southampton 8. Big chances, 3 Everton, none for Southampton. We completed 141 passes in their final third, which compared to their 89. You know, when you go into the numbers, it's interesting when you see how people mark players, but just our pass completion from the players. Michael Keane with the highest pass completion, obviously after Sneijder, who'd gone off. Michael Keane completed 48 of his 57 passes. Mason Holgate, 37 of 62. Garner gave 36 of 45 passes. What was really interesting for me out of this was that 29 of Garner's 29 of his 45 passes were forward balls, which, you know, in your mind, you just think he's back and sideways and things like that. Tom Davies, 29 completed out of 33 passes. Excellent, excellent numbers there from Tom. And Morgan Schneiderlin, like I said, with a 100% pass rate, which is incredible. Southampton's top player was Hoyt at the back. Excuse me, Hoyt at the back, who completed 25 of his 44 passes. Just some players in numbers. Gylfi, who I thought was marvellous. He was my man of the match. His game by numbers. One shot, completed 22 of his 28 passes. 6 chances created. He was top of on the pitch for that. 11 out of 15 passes completed in the attack and third. He was third overall from that. 3 out of 5 crosses. He completed both take-ons. 9 ball recoveries. Won 2 out of 3 tackles. 3 interceptions and won 5 fouls. He was the most foul player at the weekend. His pass completion finished with 78.6. Mason Holgate won his 100% tackling. 1 interception, 1 block. 4 out of 4 clearances completed, 1 header clearance, and he won 7 out of 10 aerial duels. And Tom Davies, who is much maligned at times, 29 of 33 passes completed, 87.9% pass completion rate. He received the ball 25 times, which was one of the highest on the pitch. 29 of his 32 passes were short passes, which, you know, keeping it, that's again Marco Silva wanting them to play. 11 forward passes, 15 backward passes. 1 completed his take on, won the ball back 7 times, 2 out of 2 clearances, and 1 2 free kicks. So good numbers from Tom there. Just quickly, very, very quickly, moving ahead to Saturday, Bournemouth away. They started with a 4-4-2 lineup in both of their games. They won both of the games, beat Cardiff 2-0, West Ham 2-1. They had 63% possession at home to Cardiff, but only 39% away at West Ham. They're unbeaten at home against Everton in the Premier League, the 3 games. It's been 6 Premier League games between Everton and Bournemouth, 25 goals scored, 14 for Everton, 11 for Bournemouth. Marco Silva won both of his matches against Bournemouth that he's faced so far, 1 for Watford and 1 for Hull. And since the start of the 2017-28 season, Bournemouth have won 24 points from losing positions, the most in the Premier League. So they are never, ever beaten. And that's what we have to face at the weekend. The man I've picked out for this game is the danger man, is Callum Wilson. The lad's been unlucky the last couple of seasons with knee injuries, but he scored in both of his opening 2 games. Against Cardiff, he had 6 attempts at goal, 3 on target. 3 on target, 1 goal, completed 4 take-ons. Against West Ham, 2 attempts on goal, 2 on target, and 1 goal. His goal was excellent. And his numbers from last week: 2 shots, 2 chances created, completed 50% of his passes in the attack and third, completed 50% of his take-ons, won 1 out of 4 aerial duels, 4 ball recoveries, and was fouled 1. So he is the danger man for me, Callum Wilson, at the weekend. It's going to be tough, and I'll be back next week with more stats and shots and screens and everything else. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subbing. Tell your mates to sub. Get us up. We can do more of these kind of shows. That's my stats done. See you next week on Toffee TV.